The Vengeful Luna. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 4. Kyson. Azalea was in a strange mood. She was scared, not that she would admit it. I was kind of glad to get out of the castle with her. At least she would be safe with me. Or so I hope. I hope bringing her back to this place doesn't dredge up unwanted memories for her or haunt her, especially after this morning. She knows I am keeping stuff from her, but I am only doing it to protect her, though I can't lie, some of it is for selfish reasons. Trey blurted that one out. Are you worried about returning here? I ask her, but she shakes her head. Which only confirms my original thoughts. She's more scared about being at the castle. I am struggling to figure out who I could trust myself. Every lead we have is a dead end, and I knew this one would be too. They always were, yet still, we investigated. What are you worried about, then? Everything, she murmurs. I can feel the weight and pressure on her. In the blink of an eye, she's been thrust into a world she knows nothing about. Laws, kingdoms, and her own family history are a mystery to her. Then, on top of that, she is worried about Abby. She is always worried about Abby. Concerned about who is trying to kill her and why. But most of all, she is curious to know who she is, and as determined as I am to keep it from her, I know she also needs to know. So I will start teaching her to use her alpha voice even if it means hers would one day overthrow mine. Yet feeling her through the bond, her nervousness and anxiety worsen the closer we get, and the overwhelming urge to comfort her grows stronger. I want to touch her, put her mind at ease, and let her know she is safe with me. Come here. I can't stop the edge of a growl escaping me, but she turns her head to look at me, pulling her attention away from the window. Seat belt, Azalea. Sit up, Azalea. And now, you want me to remove my seat belt to come to you? She spits at me sarcastically while shaking her head. My little mate is growing more cunning. I always find her attitude amusing until it's used against me. I growl and unclip my seat belt before moving toward her, sliding onto the seat beside her and undoing her seat belt before looping my arm around her waist and dragging her onto my lap. She growls, and I purr back at her. She will not escape me so easily. My hand sneaks under her shirt to rest on her lower belly. The bump is quite prominent already, and I smooth my hands over it. She sighs and relaxes against me as I caress it. I can't wait to watch her belly grow with our child. I can't wait to see what sort of mother she will be. I want a big family, and I wonder whether she shares the same thoughts. To me, her scent is like a balm, soothing yet also teasing, making my mouth water. She smells sweet, cherry, and vanilla, and I can't explain the strange urges her scent entices. I have never liked sweets, yet her scent is addictive and inviting. It's delicious, so I can't help the purr that slips out and vibrates against her back. My calling works every time, and I love how she melts under it. At least, that is one thing I will always have that she can't resist. I bury my face in the crook of her neck, inhaling deeply. I feel like I hardly get time with her alone anymore, so having her so close and all mine, I can't resist the temptation her flesh is offering. My fingertips draw circles on her skin before teasing the waistband of her tights. My purr grows louder, and I can feel the effect I am having on her. Her arousal through the bond is intense and perfumes the small space in the limousine. Her scent becomes overwhelming. I am supposed to be distracting her and calming her, and all I manage to do is work myself up. Kyson. Damien, Liam, and Trey are in the front, she hisses, gripping my wrist and trying to stop it from slipping lower. Ignoring her, I slip my hand beneath the waistband. Kyson, she squeaks, while squirming on my lap. Stroking the seam of her wet lower lips, she can deny me all she wants, but she can't hide the feeling I am enticing out of her. However, it is short-lived when I hear the screech of tires, and the limo slows. I growl, peering out my window, and Azalea scrambles off my lap. My hand slides out of her pants, and an angered growl leaves me as the car comes to an abrupt stop. We are stopped by the side of the road, just outside the pack borders, and men surround the vehicle. Snarling, I hear Damien get out of the car and listen to him talking to Alpha Dean's men, who are trying to refuse us entry. Reaching for the door handle, I toss it open and climb out. 6 werewolves are arguing with him about there not being any announcement of our arrival. My aura slips out as I stare at the man with his gun pointed at Damien's chest. Damien snarls, unflinching, and daring the man to pull the trigger. Issue? I ask, shutting the door behind me. The other men are smart enough to back up, but one sniff of the air, and I can tell this man is the beta. His scent is more substantial than the others. I would have thought after your alpha's experience with stepping out of line and giving my men orders, that the rest of you would have more sense. Apparently not. I tell the man while coming up behind Damien. His mud-brown eyes flick to me over Damien's shoulder and he swallows. The other 5 have scampered off, leaving the beta to fend for himself when they realized they are dealing with lichens and not random fleabag werewolves with no authority or rights. The man glances around, his curly brown hair blowing in his face when he realizes his pack members had abandoned him. No issue, my king. I didn't recognize you, he stammers. Lie, the flags on the front of the limo show our immunity. Did you have trouble recognizing my beta too? I ask. He pales, glancing at Damien, who holds his signature smirk. The alpha, the man babbles like a stupid. Your alpha what? Told you to ignore hierarchy? To hold a gun to a lichen's chest? I ask the man. He said not to let anyone in without notifying him first, the man stammers. Damien glances at me. Even the king's guard? I ask. The man nods his head. Yes. Said that we must be prepared after last time. 2 of your men killed the butcher and Mrs. Daly and kidnapped 2 rogue children, he says. You mean the pedophile I sent them here to kill? And the headmistress that mistreated your queen? I ask the man. The man shakes his head. They were good people, he claims, and my eyebrows rise into my hairline. Good people don't rape and sell little girls. I sneer, and he opens his mouth and closes it quickly. His hand trembles and I snatch the gun from his grip before he accidentally sets it off. I tuck it down the back of my pants before punching him. Damien whistles and leans against the hood. Nothing angered me more than this twit thinking he can deny my men from entering pack lands that are under my rule. He grunts, clutching his nose as blood sprays out everywhere. "Do not forget your place, mutt. And it will always be beneath a Leekan's feet. You dare tell my men they can't enter on the ground I own again, and I will have you tossed out and made rogue. Then you will see how your alpha treats rogues," I tell him. He nods, his eyes darting to Damien. He mutters an apology, and I turn, shaking my head, climbing back in the car. Now, why are Alpha Dean and Alpha Brock so worried about my men and me coming here? Maybe this trip won't be so pointless after all. I slide across the seat to catch Azalea's nervous glance. My fingers clench and unclench, trying futilely to release the building tension. The leather creaks under me, echoing the mutters that escape through my gritted teeth. My aura flares invisibly around me, a storm of simmering rage that I struggle to keep contained. My earlier mood dissolves and reforms into something sharper, more dangerous. Anger, pure and undiluted, courses through me for their alpha. To think he has the gall, the sheer arrogance, to dictate terms to me? To suggest I cannot enter his territory without his express permission? What's wrong? Azalea asks. Just border controls, I reply, the words sharp and clipped as if biting them off could sever my annoyance. Forgetting who they are speaking with. She nods, and the SUV lurches forward, continuing toward the town square. But Azalea becomes more anxious the deeper we drive through this middle-of-nowhere ghost of a town. Her hands twist together in her lap, knuckles whitening. She is nervous, and her fear reaches me through the bond. I flick my gaze toward Azalea as she shifts in her seat, when she says, "Abby told me Katrina took over the orphanage." Her voice trembles slightly, betraying the turmoil beneath her calm exterior. I confirm, my words clipped, not wanting to delve into the gruesome details that lurk behind Mrs. Daly's demise. The memory of what Gannon did, the savagery of his actions, coils in my gut. I can still see the images he sent me, sickening and vulgar, etched into the backs of my eyelids. I suppress a shudder, forcing my attention back to Azalea, who nibbles her lower lip between her teeth. "What are you thinking right now?" I probe gently, unable to shake the feeling that I made a mistake by bringing her back here. Her hand moves instinctively, almost protectively, to her belly. She brushes the fabric of her shirt over the subtle curve, an unconscious gesture that speaks volumes. I catch the corners of my lips twitching upward, amused by the act she's oblivious to performing. "I wondered if the children would still remember me," she murmurs softly. "Do you want to go back there, to see them?" My voice betrays my shock, a slight crack in the facade of calm I try to maintain. Her eyes, once lost in the distance, now shift back to me, carrying an uncertainty that mirrors the tremble in her hands. "I think I do," she answers, her voice barely above a whisper. "If we have time on the way home, we will stop in there," I tell her, watching for a reaction. "So we are just here to see the alpha?" Azalea asks. "Yes. And once we are done, I will take you to see the children if you like." She nods, her eyes becoming a little glassy. I am not sure if she's upset because she missed the children who lived there, or because she's coming back to the place that caused her so much pain. I know this place haunts both her and Abby. And after the tortures they endure at this place, I am once again second-guessing bringing her here. It takes another 10 minutes before we pull up out the front of the pack house. Alpha Dean and Alpha Brock stand waiting out the front on the porch. However, when Azalea glances out her window and looks at them, her mood shifts through the bond. Her eyes burning brighter, flickering, and almost glowed, her jaw clenched as she glared past me and out the window. The car rolls to a stop, and the silence that has enveloped us is now pierced by Azalea's soft intake of breath. I reach over, my fingers brushing against hers. She glances at me before returning her gaze back out the window. As I watch her struggle to compose herself, I feel a surge of regret, wishing I had left her at home. The tortures they endured at this place were unspeakable, and though she stands unbroken beside me, the scars run deep, invisible, and haunting. Yet, the sight of the two alphas has struck something within her, kindling a fire that I can almost feel licking at my own skin. With a sigh, I push the door open and step out into the cool air, expecting to leave Azalea in the safety of the car with Trey and Liam. But then there's the click and creak of her door swinging open, shattering that plan into fragments. She steps out, and closes her door. Behind us, our convoy disperses, as my men fan out and create a perimeter. Trey exits quickly behind her. I can see the confusion on his face. Azalea said she never wanted to see Alpha Brock again, yet she climbs out of the car. Liam's hand meets the door, shutting it, also watching Azalea. Damien sends me a questioning look, one eyebrow arching, and all I can offer is a shrug. None of us expected her to get out of the car. Her mood volatile and fierce wraps around me. It's a swift change from the uncertainty that clouded her before, sharpened now into something potent. The sight of Alpha Dean and Alpha Brock has stirred a response in Azalea, yet I can't figure out what. Besides her clear anger, something else lays beneath the surface. They've unknowingly flipped a switch, and the current running through her is electric, demanding attention. I watch, an observer, as she strides forward with a determination that has me shocked. There's a grace to her anger, a beauty to the wrath that unfurls from her. Trey stays close, his presence both shield and support, while Liam scans the area with the focus of a hawk. Kyson, Damien murmurs, a subtle tilt of his head toward Azalea, seeking guidance on this unplanned variable. I shake my head slightly, a silent message to let this play out. I am curious to see what she will do. She moves past me to the pack house, and I follow. Not as her king now, but as the partner to a queen stepping into her power, and the feeling through the bond tells me she is about to show them her title. The gravel crunches under my boots as I approach Alpha Brock, who descends the steps with a hand outstretched. His greeting hangs in the air, but my senses are tuned to Azalea's movements. Alpha Brock's practiced smile falters, his gaze sliding past my shoulder to where Azalea stands. "What a pleasant surprise," he says, though his voice betrays him, a tremor of unease beneath the sly smile on his face. Silence stretches for a heartbeat as Azalea's presence commands attention. Her aura is magnificent, invisible, and yet palpable, rushes out around us. His lips part, and Alpha Dean also pauses to stare at her. She stops beside me, and Alpha Dean's hand shakes as he offers it to her. "Alpha Dean," Azalea's voice slices through the tension, sharp and clear. Her hand dismisses his attempt at familiarity with a brisk wave, as though swatting away a bothersome insect. I hear Damien huff when she doesn't take it and just stares at it like it is diseased. Lovely to see you again, Ivy, he says, caution lacing his tone. The man is clearly shocked she isn't the broken girl she once was. A cold smile plays on Azalea's lips. That's Queen Azalea, to you, Alpha. Now move, she commands, her words leaving no room for argument. They trip over themselves trying to get out of her way as she brushes past the stunned alphas, climbing the steps as if she owns them, and perhaps in this moment, she does. They are left, mouths agape like fish out of water, their authority slipping through their fingers like sand. Liam, quick to react, darts up the steps, his hands deftly turning the knob and pulling open the front door. I trail behind, my curiosity piqued by this new side of Azalea, this commanding presence that has seemingly emerged from the depths of her being. I am content to let this play out, to see how far she will take it. The alphas, desperate to regain some semblance of control, stumble over themselves in their eagerness to please her. Would you care for some coffee or tea, my queen? Alpha Brock stammers, his voice betraying the uncertainty that swirls around us. Azalea doesn't respond verbally, her disdain is clear in the sharp tilt of her head, the curl of her lip. No, Azalea's voice is a whip crack, decisive and cold. I wouldn't trust you not to spit in it, she sneers. And we aren't here to chat, we are here for... She pauses, eyes flicking to me, and in that split second, I see a flicker of confusion. Looking for all the rogue reports. And to go through their archives, I supply through the mind link, my voice steady in her head. She absorbs the information, nodding slightly, barely perceptible, but enough for me to know she understands. The sudden fear that washes over the alphas' faces is almost palpable. I can't help but revel in the way Azalea's aura has them off balance, the way her mere presence suddenly scares them like they used to scare her. I'm here to inspect the rogue reports and your archives, she asserts, each word laced with the kind of authority that cannot be questioned. Alpha Dean's response is immediate. We don't keep such files, my queen, he stammers, the slip of the tongue betraying his nerves before he hastily corrects himself. Azalea's brow lifts ever so slightly, and I can't help but feel a surge of pride at her poise, the way she embodies her role as my queen. From behind her, Trey's lips pull into a knowing smirk. He leans closer, whispering a breath against her ear that only she can hear. I watch the exchange, curiosity nipping at me. Whatever he says draws her attention, and she gives him a quick nod, acknowledging his words while keeping her eyes fixed on the alphas before her. They gape at her, and I can't believe they had the audacity to lie when they have no issue trying to label her as a traitor. Your archives are kept in your basement. And you should have reports of every rogue that steps over your borders. If not, that is an infringement on your behalf, and if it is simply you refusing to hand them over, that is punishable by death. Beheading sounds good, she says, looking at me. As you wish, my queen, I answer. So which is it? You don't have the archives I have requested, or you don't want to hand them over. Either way, Alpha, you seem to find yourself in a direct violation of Leakin law, and your next answer determines the severity of your punishment, she says, staring at them both. I have no doubt Trey is feeding her laws through the mind link. Both alphas stumble over themselves to answer. Alpha Dean's hands twitch nervously, his eyes darting from Azalea to me and back again as he grapples for a semblance of control in the face of her unyielding demand. The air between us crackles with tension, each second stretching into an eternity as he formulates his response under the weight of Azalea's piercing gaze. "What we meant is that we haven't dug them out," Alpha Dean finally musters, his voice carrying the strain of one walking on the blade's edge. "We weren't aware of your arrival or the king's. If you come back in a few days, we can have them ready." My lips press into a thin line, the scent of their anxiety palpable in the stillness of the room. Their ignorance of our presence doesn't sit well with me, it's a convenient excuse at best. I feel the anger simmering beneath my skin, but it's Azalea's cold composure that holds my focus. Her eyes narrow ever so slightly, the silver flecks in her irises catching the light like shards of moonlight. Her stance remains statuesque, embodying the very essence of regal authority that seems to reach into the depths of the earth itself and command its obedience. "If I wanted you to dig them out and remove any incriminating evidence, we would have called prior," she retorts sharply, her voice cutting through their excuses like a knife through shadow. "But seeing as your pack is under investigation for the mistreatment of rogues, I don't want you handling any such evidence or giving you a chance to get rid of it completely." The Alphas stand before us, their bravado peeled away to reveal the vulnerability they had hoped to conceal. In this moment, the power dynamics have shifted irrevocably. Azalea, once a victim, now dictates the rules of engagement, and they know it. Mistreatment of rogues, my queen. Whatever happened with Mrs. Daly, I assure you, your king has seen to her punishment, he murmurs, his voice threading through the tension-charged silence. Azalea's gaze doesn't waver, her eyes like frosted steel, unyielding and cold. She seems not to hear him, or perhaps she chooses not to acknowledge the excuse that falls so pathetically short of genuine remorse. The air around her crackles with her disregard for his pitiful defense. "I would also like to see my files and Abby's. So if you can point me in the direction of your basement, that will be very helpful," she commands, her voice resonant with authority that leaves no room for argument. I feel the shift in the room, a palpable change as the power firmly roots itself in Azalea's grasp. Alpha Brock's face tautens, his eyes narrowing ever so slightly. The telltale sign of a man unaccustomed to being cornered, especially not by someone he once deemed beneath him. With a stiff nod, almost imperceptible, he motions down the hall, conceding to her demand with a visible twitch of irritation. Azalea's footsteps echo in the hall, each step measured yet still, she manages to look graceful. The tension coils around us as we approach the door next to the staircase. Alpha Brock's fingers curl around the handle, a muscle twitching in his jaw as he swings the door open with a reluctance that seeps into the stale air beyond. His gaze flickers to his father, seeking silent counsel or perhaps drawing from a well of shared unease. "May we ask what you are looking for exactly?" Alpha Brock's voice is a strained thread of composure. "Most of the files down here are outdated and are of no use to anybody." A cold draft snakes out from the darkness behind the door. Azalea doesn't flinch. She looks back at me, like she is asking permission, and I nod subtly. This is her show, I am merely the witness to her command. "Outdated or not, they hold relevance to us," she adds, her voice resonant with the power that has shifted so visibly in her favor. Alpha Brock swallows hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. He seems to shrink ever so slightly under her scrutiny. Damien watches him closely, an unspoken warning clear in his stance. "Step aside," Damien commands, his voice brooking no argument, and for a moment, Alpha Brock hesitates. "We can show you down. It will be easier if we help," and Alpha Brock begins, but his offer dies in his throat as Azalea growls a low, guttural sound that reverberates off the narrow walls and chills the air. Her aura surges forward, invisible yet palpable, a wave of suppressed fury that crashes against him. I watch as he falters, his back pressing into the wall, his authority crumpling like paper caught in the wind. Azalea's voice slices through the tension, sharp and commanding. "You heard my beta. Now step aside, Alpha." Her sneer is a thing of terrifying beauty, laced with a venom that leaves no room for challenge. The Alpha before us, a man of power in his own right, looks as if he's swallowed a stone. His Adam's apple bobs in a nervous gulp, his authority dissolving under her gaze. Compliance is swift, the Alpha retreats, stepping away with haste. Liam descends into the darkness first to check if it's safe. A signal from below lets us know it's all clear. Azalea's eyes find mine, the connection between us pulsing like a living entity. I sense her request before the words form in my mind, her will pressing against my consciousness. "Go on. If you want to take over, I won't stop you," I say through our bond, granting her the freedom to as she pleases, and she starts moving into the basement. I stroll past the Alphas when Alpha Dean stops me. "Are we in trouble, my king?" he asks. "That's for her to decide," I respond curtly, the words slicing through any hope he harbors, and I can't help but smirk at the fear emanating off them as I follow my mate. Azalea, the basement is stacked to the ceiling with boxes of files, no order, nothing, just boxed and stacked. I do not know what I am looking for, and I have no clue where to even start. Damien comes up behind me, leading me to a table in the center and flicking a small lamp on. "I'm sorry," I stuck my nose in. "It made me mad when I saw them," I admit to him. I am unsure where my bravado came from. Probably from seeing my old Alphas ticked off, returned the favor for all the times they made me feel less than dirt. "No, you did well," Damien says when Kyson comes down the steps. I wait to see if he is mad that I kind of just took over when I was supposed to remain in the car with Trey. I wasn't supposed to step foot in here at all. Yet when he comes down the last step, he has a silly smile on his face as he strolls over to me. "Ah, this will take forever," Liam growls, rifling through boxes. Kyson comes over, places his hands on my hips, and buries his face in my neck. But Liam is right. This will take days to go through. "So, what do you want to do now?" Kyson asks, and I look up at him. "Pardon?" I whisper. "You're in charge, boss." "So what now?" he asks, brushing his nose across my cheek. I gasp, looking around. Kyson purrs behind me, then taps my hip with his hand and wanders about the huge basement before stopping. I try to figure out what to do because Liam is right, this will take days. "Can we take them?" I ask Kyson, and he nods. "For real, my queen? You want me to cart all these boxes up?" Liam whines, jutting out his bottom lip and pointing to Trey. "He wants to do it," Liam whispers, and I chuckle. "No, I press my lips in a line. There are hundreds of boxes down here. I look up at Kyson, and he shrugs, not offering any help. You're in charge, so I'm not helping. So what are you going to do, my queen? Kyson says, and I peer back around the room. They wouldn't fit in the cars. There are too many. I glance at the steps leading up before walking past Kyson and back up the steps to the main house. Alpha Dean and Alpha Brock stand by the doors, looking terrified at the two guards beside them. Seeing them grinds my gears. The humiliation of being put on that podium in front of the entire town square while they threw stuff at us makes my blood boil as I remember the last time I saw them. Have you got a trailer? I ask them. They both shake their heads. Find one, I tell them. You want us to find a trailer? Alpha Brock asks, looking at his father. Don't look at him. Find a trailer, I said. I snap, and he growls, the noise cutting off when I growl back at him. Only mine is a lot louder, and the power behind it almost makes me gasp and jump before I contain those urges of shock. I feel the power ooze out of me, my aura coming out like a shield and suffocating the alphas. You will find a trailer and attach it to the car. Then you will come back here, and you and your father will cart every box and piece of paper from that basement and stack them in it, I tell them. Every box? Alpha Dean says. Are you hard of hearing, Alpha Dean? Do I need to repeat myself? I ask him, and he shakes his head. Turning to the guards beside them, I drop my aura and speak to them. Make sure they bring every box up. And if they miss one, kill Alpha Brock. Yes, my queen, they nod, and one smiles like he would enjoy that job. I go to leave when I pause to see Kyson leaning against the wall. Oh, and once they have attached the trailer, they have 18 minutes to cart them up, I tell the guards. 18 minutes? Alpha Brock exclaims. Yes. Because 18 years is a wonderful age to kill innocent rogues, so I give 18 minutes to cart those boxes up, I tell him. And if we don't complete it in that time frame? Alpha Dean asks. I suggest you get it done, and you won't have to find out, I tell him, turning on my heel and walking out. Stepping outside, I let out a breath. It is exhilarating holding the control, yet also petrifying. Adrenaline makes my heart rate quicken and flutter in my chest. Now what? Kyson asks me. I bite the inside of my lip and look around only to see Alpha Brock rush off to his neighbor's house. Will the guards make sure they retrieve everything? I ask, and Kyson nods his head. Then can we go to the orphanage? Are you asking? Kyson says with a devious smile on lips. I swallow, glancing at Trey, who raises an eyebrow at me and nods toward Kyson. I shake my head and cringe, looking up at my mate. No. I want to go to the orphanage, so we are going, I tell him. I am turning away from him when he grabs my arm. My heart lurches in my chest, thinking I pushed him too far, demanding him. Yet he only turns me to face him before his hand slips to the back of my neck. He leans down while tilting my head back. His lips crash against mine, his tongue demanding as it invades my mouth, forcing my lips to part. He kisses me hungrily, his tongue tasting every inch of my mouth before he pulls away and smiles. I like it when you're bossy, he purrs. You say that now, I tell him. He responds with a grin, one that crinkles the corners of his eyes. For now, he agrees, the words rich with amusement as he drapes an arm around my shoulders, drawing me closer. We walk to the orphanage since it isn't that far from the pack house. It is odd walking through the streets, this place no longer gives me the same fear it used to. It looks different, run down. People stare as we head toward the orphanage, and I pay them no mind, ignoring their curious gazes. Azalea once there at the orphanage, I stop, staring up at the building I once called home. Heart pounding, I pause at the sight of the dilapidated building looming before me. Paint peeling, windows like hollow eyes, and yet it tugs sharply at my heartstrings. Children play out the front, and for a second, I watch them. This place dredged up so many memories, yet I can't seem to conjure up one good one. As if sensing my presence, the noise of play momentarily hushes. The place should be condemned, yet the kids all stop as I step over the little brick fence. Tiny feet patter against the cracked pavement, and then there upon me a tide of small bodies with bright eyes and eager hands. They swarm around me, their little fingers plucking at the hem of my shirt, warm smiles and giggles piercing the air. She's back! Ivy is back! They screech out excitedly. Ivy! Ivy! Bubble up from the lips of children, their calls threading through the air like a lifeline back to my past. I feel their small hands tugging at my sleeves, their unspoken pleas for attention wrapping around me with an intensity that is both heartwarming and heartbreaking. Katrina bursts out the front door, her expression one of concern and surprise. Katrina! I gasp, my voice catching on the wave of emotions that crashes into me. I navigate through the throng of tiny bodies, their energy buzzing like electricity in the air, until I collide with the familiar warmth of her embrace. Oh, sweet girl, she breathes out, her arms enveloping me. She steps back, her eyes scanning me with a nurturing scrutiny reserved for those who have known your darkest moments. Her fingertips ghost over my shoulder, where fabric has slipped to reveal more than it should, more than I want. The lash marks, remnants of my time here, peeking out. She meets my gaze, a sorrowful smile gracing her lips as tears pool in her eyes, threatening to spill over. She stifles a sniffle. In her eyes, there's an apology, one that needs no words, for the kindness she gave could never undo the hurt we endured, but oh, how it helped. The warmth of Katrina's embrace lingers as she holds me just far enough to search my expression, her concern palpable. How's Abby? She asks, the words carrying more than a question, a hope that the world hasn't been too cruel to us. She is okay, I tell her. She nods, relief softening the creases of worry that had etched themselves into her features. Katrina's arms encircle me once more. You look good, sweetie, she murmurs, and I feel the genuine warmth in her voice washing over me like a gentle tide. As she releases me, a small, insistent pull at the hem of my shirt draws my attention downward. A pair of wide eyes, brimming with innocent curiosity, gaze up at me. It's Jack, his youthful energy irrepressible despite the harshness that surrounds us. With a practiced ease born from years of looking after the younger ones, I scoop him into my arms. He is lighter than I remember, a reminder of the scarcity that still plagues this place. Hey, Jack, I greet him, my smile broadening at the sight of his joy. His fingers find a strand of my hair, playing with it, tugging gently. "Where is Abby? She didn't come to visit us." Jack's voice wobbles, making my heart clench. He pouts, a gap evident where his two front teeth used to be, making his words lisp slightly. I set him down and kneels to his level, my gaze softening. "No, she couldn't come," I say. He nods sadly. Katrina then ushers us inside. She strides towards the kitchen, and I hear the familiar click and hiss as she turns the kettle on. I slip into the kitchen, my hands instinctively reaching for the mugs hanging on their hooks, chipped and mismatched from years of use. They clink softly as I set them out. Kyson's gaze weighs on me, silent, yet his concern screams at me through the bond, but I push aside the discomfort it brings, focusing instead on the task at hand. "Let me," Katrina says, but I slap her hands away, knowing my way around this place like the back of my hand. "It's fine, just sit down." She resists only for a moment before acquiescing with a weary exhale, the fight seeping out of her as she collapses into a chair. Her fingers trace the grain of the wooden table, worn smooth by countless meals and meetings. "Kyson mentioned you're looking after the children now," I continue, filling the silence that threatens to consume us. A nod is her only reply, the gesture heavy with the burden she carries, one I'm all too familiar with. "Yep." Katrina's voice cracks. "But the Alpha cut back rations again. This place is falling apart, and Dad is sick, so I am back and forth." Her eyes, dull with fatigue, flicker to mine. I hand her a steaming cup of tea. Her fingers wrap around it. Kyson accepts his own mug with a nod. "No one to help?" "Margaret comes over when I ask," Katrina replies, her voice laden with contempt. "But you know how she is." I nod, understanding all too well the type of woman she is. Margaret was one of Mrs. Daly's friends, and she hated children, even her own. Just hearing her name has memories clawing its way to the forefront of my mind. "Careful, you." Margaret's voice had been sharp as a blade, slicing through the air. But it was too late, my small, trembling hands fumbled and tea splashed onto the floor. Her hand cracked across my cheek, a stinging punishment for a simple accident. My skin burned with the impact, tears welling but never falling. I had learned early that showing weakness only invited more pain. "Sorry, sorry," I had whispered, the words barely escaping as I scrambled to clean the mess. Shaking off the memories of the past, I focus on Katrina's furrowed brow and weary eyes. "Margaret," I trail off, unable to mask the distaste in my voice. Her presence would offer Katrina no relief, only adding to the weight she already carried. "Anyway, don't worry about it," Katrina forces a smile, though it doesn't quite reach her eyes. Her fingers trace the rim of her mug absently, as if finding solace in the familiar circular motion. "Margaret's help isn't the kind you need," I say softly, setting down my own cup. "I've asked the Alpha to employ someone but he said no. I swear I could run this pack better than that twat, he keeps saying he hasn't got the money to put in this place." She takes a sip of tea to moisten her lips before continuing. "I checked his finances for him the other week again and he has gambled everything. So with Dad getting worse, I have no choice but to ask her." With the weight of her burdens etched into the lines of her face, Katrina gazes out the window at the overgrown yard, a small sigh escaping her lips. Her hands, which have known the roughness of relentless work, tremble slightly as she clutches the mug. "What's wrong with your father?" The question slips from my mouth, my voice barely above a whisper. She turns back to me. "Dementia," Katrina confesses, the word falling heavily in the space between us. It paints an all too clear picture of the struggle that lies behind her tired gaze. "He needs a full-time carer now, but I can't with this place, and Mum is just as bad, so she is no help." She pauses, her shoulders slumping as if the admission siphons the last bit of strength she has. "And I haven't got the funds to pay for one." She smiles sadly. "I don't know how you girls kept up with all the chores here either," she says, shaking her head. The motion sends a few strands of her hair, the color of faded autumn leaves, drifting across her tired eyes. Her gaze sweeps over the mess as if seeing it for the first time. "We didn't have a choice," I tell her. She nods, understanding etched into the lines of her face as she stares at me. "I'm sorry, Ivy," she murmurs. "Azalea," Kyson corrects her gently from where he stands. Katrina's brow furrows for a moment before smoothing out as she nods in acknowledgement, her lips curving into a sad smile. It doesn't matter what name she uses. She had tried to be a buffer between us and Mrs. Daly's cruelty. And despite her beta heritage, Katrina's hands were tied, her good intentions constantly thwarted by the alpha's blind eye. "Don't be, and it's not your fault," I reassure Katrina, my voice steadier than I feel. "I could have done more," she murmurs, her gaze drifting to the floor. Before I can say anything else, movement at the periphery snatches my attention. A small form detaches itself from the fray of children, a little boy with wide, searching eyes that seem too ancient for his youth. "Kyson." The name slips from me, a whisper that carries the weight of 1,000 unshed tears, and I nearly break down at the sight of him. He has some disability that was never diagnosed because Mrs. Daly believed you could beat disobedience out of a child and saw his speech impediment as disobedience. He motions toward his mouth, trying to speak, but it comes out in grunts and growling. Abby and I believed Mrs. Daly would have killed him by now. I kiss his cheek and squish him too, which makes Kyson glance at me funny. I shake my head. He has no idea who this boy is to Abby. Grunts and growls spill from his lips, his small face contorting in frustration. My heart clenches as I reach for him, lifting his shaking body into my arms. He nestles against me, his babbling softening into quiet whimpers. "Shh, it's okay," I murmur, pressing my lips to his forehead. Memories surge unbidden, a torrent that rips me back to a night seared into my soul. The shrill cries of an infant wrench me from sleep. Abby is already on her feet, fear etched across her features as she bolts down the attic steps with me right behind her. Tyson's wails pierced the air loudly, while Mrs. Daly's voice is a venomous hiss, commanding silence. "Shut up! Just shut up!" The threat in her tone is palpable. Abby reaches Kyson first, throwing herself protectively over his makeshift crib, which was a fruit box, just as Mrs. Daly raises her cane. The thwack of wood against flesh echoes through the room, each blow meant for Kyson absorbed by Abby's quivering frame. I lunge forward in panic and shove her with all my might. Her attention snaps to me, rage contorting her features. She strikes again and again until darkness claims me. Only later would I understand the cost of that intervention. My back was raw from the whip, but Kyson and Abby managed to get out of the room safely. After that, Kyson slept in our bed with us until he started sleeping through the night. I still remember Abby begging Mrs. Daly to let her keep him with us, but she refused. Azzy. Kyson pulls me out of the memory as his voice flits through my head and blink the images away to see Katrina staring at Kyson. I never know what he is trying to say, Katrina says as he squeezes his fists, shaking as he becomes frustrated, and gurgling loudly. My fingers dance through the fruit bowl, bypassing fruit that's seen better days, until they close around a firm apple. I briskly wipe it against my shirt, polishing its surface. Apple, I say gently, holding it out to Kyson. Memories of deciphering his sounds, his own form of communication, flood back, a language only Abby and I seemed fluent in. His eyes light up with recognition, and he snatches the apple, his small hands enveloping it. Excitement bubbles out of him in a string of babbles as he scampers away, the apple now a prized possession. Apple, Katrina echoes, her voice carrying a trace of weariness. She's been trying, I can tell. I nod and take a sip of my tea. He likes the crunching noise they make, and he hates cornflakes, so don't give him those. He will have a meltdown. Kyson doesn't like the texture once the milk is added, I tell her, and she quickly jumps up and grabs a notepad from the fridge. She jots it down, and I tell her a few more noises he makes and what they mean. Man, I wish you and Abby could stay here a while to show me, she says. Kyson shakes his head instantly, and I don't think I could even if he let me. Too many bad memories here, and I know this place would give me nightmares when I go home. I have to take Dad for brain scans next week. I am hoping the Alpha will come over like he said. He said he would watch them for me, she sighs. Brock? What did you have to give him to convince him to do that? I ask, and she blushes, not looking happy about that. I click my tongue, already knowing the answer. No one else. I ask her, and I can only imagine what she had to do for her to get him over to watch all these kids. We can try to help you find some help. Kyson offers, and she looks at him, hopefully. Please. No one is willing to help, and I have my exams coming back up. You're back studying accounting? I ask her. Trying. When I get a chance, that is, it's online, she says. I smile sadly before I place my cup in the sink and nod, knowing we will have to leave soon. Do you mind if I look around? I ask her, and she shakes her head. Of course not, but upstairs is a little messy, she says. Walking back to the main hall and into the living room, I see the kids huddled around the tiny box TV in the corner. How many kids are here now? I ask her. 111, Katrina answers. I sigh, looking around. The place is falling apart, and I suddenly wish I could take them with me. Katrina can't look after them by herself, and this place has seen better days. I swallow, taking the set of stairs, while Katrina tries to settle the kids who are becoming rowdy with afternoon tea approaching. Ascending the staircase, the heavy air grips my lungs. Each door I pass reveals a room steeped in dust and disarray. Beds unmade, personal belongings strewn without care, a stark contrast to the order imposed on us during our time here. It's as if the rooms are holding their breath, waiting for someone to care enough to breathe life into them once more. Kyson's footsteps echo behind me. "What are you doing?" he asks, his tone laced with confusion, or is it concern? I find it hard to answer, the sights before me dragging me back through time. Memories flash before my eyes. Abby and I tiptoe through the hallways, avoiding the squeaky floorboards and carrying piles of laundry that threaten to topple over. The same corridors now lay silent, save for the ghosts of our whispered voices trying to evade Mrs. Daly's wrath. "Remembering," I reply finally, my voice distant even to my own ears. Reaching the end of the hallway, I pause before the attic stairs, my heart thundering against my ribs. That was mine and Abby's room. How often were we forced to crawl those stairs after our lashings or our chores? It felt like a lifetime ago, yet also yesterday. Everything is still so fresh. Kyson touches my arm, and I jump, stuck in my memories. "Are you all right?" he asks before turning to Liam and Trey. He nods toward the stairs and they go back down them. "I'm fine," I tell him, blinking back tears. He looked like he wanted to say something, but I grip the broken banister and force myself to climb the steps to the attic. The door handle jiggles in my hand as I push it open. "Azalea, why did you want to come up here?" Kyson asks, his voice echoing off the bare walls. He looks around at the small space, taking in the dirt-covered window, the single mattress we shared, and the bedside dresser. It all looks exactly as it did when we were here, untouched by time. I walk over to the dresser and open the top drawer, revealing a stack of tattered clothes. Among them is a spaghetti necklace, its colors faded but still recognizable. I pick it up and hold it in my hand, memories flooding back to me. "We hated these dresses," I say, holding up an old tunic. "And the stupid peasant skirts she would make us wear." I can still feel the itch of the rough fabric against my skin, the way it would cling to my sweat in the hot summers. "Azalea," Kyson whispers behind me. "It's mine and Abby's room," I tell him. My voice sounds distant to even my own ears. Kyson's eyes widen as he takes in the room. "This is where you slept?" he asks, his voice full of disbelief. I nod, unable to speak as my emotions threaten to overwhelm me. I walk over to the cupboard and run my hand along its wooden surface, remembering the countless times I was locked inside, unable to escape until Mrs. Daly deemed it was time for me to come out. "Are you all right, Azalea?" Kyson's concerned voice breaks through the haze, and I tear my gaze away from him to glance at the wooden chair he's turning in the corner. Suppressed memories flood back, crashing against the walls of my mind, reminding me of why that chair is up here. It's a painful reminder of the time we broke a similar one while trying to retrieve Christmas decorations from storage. Mrs. Daly, always one for dramatic lessons, made us bear the weight of that chair above our heads, claiming it would teach us about the burden she carried in looking after us. To most people, it's just a chair. But for us, holding two legs each above our heads for what felt like an eternity, we learned firsthand how even the lightest things become unbearably heavy after hours. Each time our strength faltered and we dropped it, Mrs. Daly's cane would strike the back of our legs, leaving stinging reminders of her displeasure. As I watch Kyson move the chair now, its screeching sound along the floor ignites an inferno of rage within me. I growl, snatching the chair from his hands, causing him to jump back startled. Without a second thought, I hurl it at the little window. Shards of glass shatter everywhere, raining down around me as I stalk towards the chair. My sole focus is on obliterating it, as if by destroying this physical object, I could somehow erase the haunting memory it represents. Erase the echoes of Abby's cries as her knees buckled from each merciless strike of Mrs. Daly's cane. I pick up the chair once more and begin smashing it into the unforgiving floor. With each crash, wood splinters off, filling the air with the sound of destruction and releasing pent-up frustration that had been festering within me. The floor quakes beneath my feet, mirroring the turmoil in my soul, until Kyson grabs hold of my arms. "Hey, SHH, SHH, he murmurs gently, his eyes flicking down to the chair leg still clutched tightly in my hand. He reaches out and takes it from me. "Give it to me, love," he says softly, his touch calming. My hands tremble as I struggle to catch my breath, and Kyson cups my face in his hands, forcing me to meet his gaze. His eyes are filled with concern and understanding, watching my face intently as I attempt to regain control of my emotions. But this place, this wretched place, it feels like I never left. Some part of me will always be trapped within these walls. I hate this place. I hate her. I hate what she did to us. The words burst forth from me, accompanied by a sudden burst of tears. I despise this place with every fiber of my being, loathing everything it represents. It's as if this single location has imprinted itself onto my heart and soul, screaming out that it will forever hold me captive. That escape is an illusion. The floodgates open wide, releasing all the pain and anguish I've been suppressing for far too long. She ruined us, I sob. No, love. She ruined nothing. And you're safe now. She is dead, she can't hurt you no more, this place is just a place, he says, hugging me. You don't have to be strong all the time, Azalea, he says softly. It's okay to let yourself feel. Tears fill my eyes as I lean into his embrace. For so long, I had pushed down my emotions, burying them deep inside of me in order to survive. I hate this place, I say, my voice muffled against Kyson's chest. I hate what it represents. I know, Kyson whispers, rubbing soothing circles on my back. We stand there for a few minutes before finally pulling away from each other. I wipe at my tears and take a deep breath, trying to compose myself. It was just a chair. I broke a perfectly good chair. I inhale his scent, letting it calm me before I chuckle, knowing how many whippings I would have got if Mrs. Daly heard me crying. Kyson probably thinks I lost my mind, and even I question that possibility. I sniffle, feeling stupid and childish. You okay? He asks, and I nod, wiping my face and glancing around the small space and the broken chair. I need to leave. I can't stay here any longer. It hurts too much, and I want out. Suddenly feeling claustrophobic, I rush down the steps needing air, feeling like the walls are closing in around me and that I am going to wake up at any moment and everything has been a dream, and I am really stuck here still. Kyson chases after me, and I rush through the kitchen and burst into the living room, heading for the front door. But the faces of the children make my feet halt. Trey and Liam look over at us, alarmed, and Kyson nearly runs into the back of me as I stop. Little eyes, filled with innocence and curiosity, peer back at me, reflecting the shock mirrored in Katrina's gaze. Her startled expression mirrors my own as I try to gather my thoughts amidst the chaos that surrounds us. Azalea, dear, are you okay? She asks, concern lacing her words. But this place, this dilapidated dump of a building, no longer holds me captive. Yet, my heart sinks as I realize that all these children still remain trapped within its crumbling walls. Desperation tugs at my soul as I turn to Kyson, hoping he can decipher the unspoken plea in my eyes. No, he exclaims, his eyes widening in alarm. Confusion furrows my brow as I tilt my head to the side. But he folds his arms protectively across his chest and shakes his head vehemently. I'm not asking, I assert, frustration seeping into my voice. His lips part as he glances around at the frightened faces surrounding us. No. What am I going to do with all these kids? He hisses at me, his disbelief palpable. Ignoring his resistance, I pivot towards Katrina, determination etched on my features. Ring the bus depot and find a driver, I instruct her, urgency coding each word. Confusion flickers across her face as she processes my request. You want a bus? She questions, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Yes. Maybe two. I am taking them with me, I declare firmly. She gasps, rushing towards me in a flurry of movement. You want to take all the children? She asks incredulously, stealing a quick glance at Kyson who stands behind me, simmering with anger. Yes. So ring the bus depot. I want a bus here now, I command, my gaze unwavering as I turn to face Kyson. He growls, frustration emanating from him. Are you insane? He questions, his voice laced with worry. I shift my focus back to the young faces before me. Either I stay, or they come, I retort, my eyes locking with him in a silent challenge. What are we going to do with all of them? He asks, throwing his hands in the air. Some of the Leakin families might be willing to take them in, Trey interjects. I nod, seeing the possibilities unfold before me. We'll figure it out. And where do you think I am going to put them? Kyson counters, his frustration palpable. The castle is big enough, I state, refusing to take no for an answer. Azalea, he growls, his anger flaring. No. You said I am running things here, and I say they are coming. Now get on board, my king, or get out of my way, I declare, my voice firm and unwavering. He growls in response. Yes, I said that, but I didn't think you were going to bring an entire orphanage back with us. Fine. You tell them then. Say no to them, Kyson, I say, motioning toward the kids. He swallows and glances at their little faces and I smirk, knowing very well he won't or can't utter those words. He presses his lips in a tight line. Fine, he growls, and Liam chuckles. Come on, kids. Uncle Liam is helping you bust out of this crap box. Come on, let's go. Liam says, waving to all the kids to follow him. They glance around at each other and look at Kyson, unsure. He sighs and shakes his head. Come on then. Follow Uncle Liam. Kyson says, motioning them to follow him. The kids don't need to be told twice and rush after an excitable Liam and Trey. I laugh, following them. Where to, my queen? Liam calls. The town square. There is a bus stop, I tell him. Katrina races out on the phone, telling the driver to come to the town square. You're lucky I love you, Kyson growls, grabbing my hand. I laugh before racing after the kids and tugging Kyson along with me. Azalea, when we arrive back at the town square, I can see the Alpha is still loading the trailer. Alpha Brock glances over, noticing the children. He snarls and stomps over to them. What are you all doing here? He snarls, and Liam growls at him, making him jump, having not seen him. Alpha Brock backs up with his hands up while the children all stand frozen in fear. It angers me that they fear him. Seeing as you are still stacking boxes, I am assuming you didn't make the 18-minute time frame. I ask him, walking through the crowd of children. He backs up further. No. We got delayed, he mutters. See, the last box. Everything is there, he says, pointing to his father, who is placing a tarp over the trailer. That wasn't what I asked. I asked if you did it in 18 minutes. His lips part, and he glances at his father when one of the guards steps forward. That is the last box, my queen. But no, they didn't get it done in the time frame, he answers, and I nod, turning to look at Alpha Brock. On the stage, both of you. I order, my voice coming out strong along with my aura, which I am finding more effortless and easier to use. They both rush up the steps and stand at the top of them. My king, is this really necessary? We did what she asked, Alpha Dean says. But you didn't. Your queen gave you 18 minutes, and you didn't complete the task in that time frame, Kyson answers him as I wander over to the fruit stall that is just closing its shutters. How much for all of it? I ask the elderly woman. She jumps, not seeing me come up behind her. You, she sneers, pointing her withered old finger at me. Excuse me. I ask her. You. The rogue girl. My name is Azalea Landina. You will address me as such unless you want to join your alpha. I snarl. She stutters out an apology. Now I asked you a question. How much for all of it? You want the entire shop? She asks. I shake my head. No, just the fruit and vegetables. Just take what you want. I don't want to send you broke, ma'am. Despite your lack of manners. Kyson comes up behind me and touches my shoulder. We have fruit at home, he whispers, and I nod, picking up a tomato. I know, but pay her, I am taking the lot, I tell him, turning around, tossing it in the air, and catching it as I walk and stop in front of the stage. Kids, I call out, and they all turn to face me. Grab some fruit, they rush off, taking fruit from the shelves. They all return as the buses pull up. Now, to show you the same dignity you showed me, Alpha, I tell them. Some of the children are eating their fruit while I chuck my tomato at the alphas. My tomato hits Alpha Brock square in the face, splatting with an audible sound and covering him in tomato juices. Alpha Brock growls when Trey laughs before screaming out. Food fight. Like a mini army, the kids turn. Their eyes light up with mischief as they toss their fruit and vegetables at the alphas, who try to dodge their attacks but can't step off the small stage. When they are finished, I tell the children to grab more fruit to eat as a snack on the way before helping load them onto the buses. Once that is done, I wander back over to the alphas covered in bits of fruits and vegetables and juices. You will both step down as alpha until a new one is appointed. And I look at Kyson, needing his help. I'm not quite sure how to actually strip someone of their title. Kyson's aura rushes out, bringing them both to their knees. I, King Kyson of the Valkyrie Kingdom, hereby strip you Alpha Dean and Alpha Brock of your alpha titles. I declare you both the very thing you despise. I declare you both rogue until you are accepted into another pack or your new alpha declares you a pack. Kyson says, stripping both of them of their titles. Wait. Wait. I will do better. Brock begs, wanting to step off the stage, but he is stuck under my command. You may approach, I tell him, and he jumps down and falls to his knees in front of me. Please. Please. I will do as you ask. Anything. Without an alpha, this place will go to ruin, he begs, and I look at Kyson, who shrugs and tells me it is up to me. I bite my lip. Yet he has a point. They need an alpha, or things could be even worse off than with the alpha. I glance around to see Katrina hold up her hand behind Liam. She is technically beta blood, and she is studying accounting. I smirk, knowing there is nothing Alpha Brock would hate more than having to answer to a woman. You answer to Katrina now. And until she deems you fit, you remain as rogues. You will also make sure she has time to finish her course and help her any way she asks, I tell him. She is a woman. Alpha Brock snaps at me. Yes. But she is so much more than that. Now she is your alpha. I tell him, and Katrina smirks and folds her arms, and I look at Kyson, knowing he was the only one right now that could make this happen. He would have to teach me to give someone their titles because I had a funny feeling it wasn't the same as stripping them of their mate bond. And I am right. Kyson waves Katrina forward and gets her to kneel, and he slices his palm, letting his claws slip out on his other hand. Open your mouth open, Kyson tells her, and she obeys. He squeezes his fist, letting his blood drip into her mouth. Before he says a pledge, she repeats it before declaring her as alpha. She gasps, clutching her chest, and falls backward on her bottom, and I could feel her aura slip out stronger than before, showing she was now in charge. Alpha Brock roars, getting to his feet, and he charges at her, and she glares at him, rising to her feet calmly. Sit, she orders, and he freezes, falling on his ass. Alpha Dean hangs his head, looking ashamed of his son's behavior. While I am shocked at how easy it is for Katrina to command him. I hope it gets easy for me like that, and I would be able to have complete control of my aura and command as she does. Azalea, once Kyson is sure Katrina has both alphas under control, he escorts me back to the limo, and I climb in the back and slide across the seat. My hands shake with adrenaline, and I feel a little giddy. The feeling wears off as the car starts. I glance out the window at the bus and the cars follow, however the bus heads down a different street, as the orphanage street is too narrow for the bus, with its low-hanging trees to fit. We slow a little as the orphanage comes into view out my window. That place will never hurt any more children. I unclip my seatbelt and tap on the window. Trey winds the glass window down and I tell them to stop. The car does and one of the other cars follows after the bus, while the other three stop behind us. I open my door when Kyson grips the back of my pants. "You don't need to go back in there. There is nothing there for you anymore," he whispers, "but I want no remnants left of this place." "I know," I tell him and he lets me go and sighs. I climb out as do the guards, taking positions around the cars. Trey comes over to me. "What's wrong?" he asks. I shake my head, moving toward Liam as he steps out of the car. "Have you got a lighter?" I ask, knowing he smokes. He lifts an eyebrow at me. "Terrible habit. Shouldn't smoke when up the duff," he tells me, and I roll my eyes and hold my hand out for the lighter. "I'm not smoking," I tell him, and he pulls a packet out before lighting a smoke. "Since we have stopped," he says. He lights his smoke, then hands me the lighter. I step over the little brick gate, and Kyson grips my arm. "What are you doing?" "Making sure no more kids ever come back here," I tell him, shaking his arm off. Guards rush ahead of me as I walk around the outside of the building to the small garden shed out the back. Kyson follows but just watches me as I reach above to the low-hanging tin roof for the padlock key. I feel around before pulling it down and unlocking the padlock. Ducking my head, I step inside and see a red jerrycan. I grab it off the small shelf and shake it to find it had a bit of fuel left in it for the mower. I crack the lid and the fumes confirm it is indeed petrol. Stepping out of the garden shed, Kyson gasps, coming over and snatching it from me. "You are not playing with petrol," he growls. "Give it to me," I tell him, holding my hand out. But he refuses. "Give me the lighter." "I will do it," he says, holding his hand out. "I don't care who does it, as long as the place is reduced to nothing but soot and ash." I hand him the lighter when Liam bounces on the balls of his feet like an excited kid in a candy store. "Oh, pick me! Pick me! Can I help?" "Liam likes playing with fire," he says, his eyes sparkling mischievously. I glance inside the small shed when Liam clears his throat behind me. "No fuel needed. I always have lighter fluid," he says, and I look at him over my shoulder to see him rummage inside his jacket. "Here, hold this," he says, passing me a knife. "Ah, and this," he says, dropping a pistol in my hand. Kyson growls, snatching it from me. "Liam," he scolds. "It's in here somewhere," Liam mutters, pulling out an apron covered in blood. He sniffs it and pulls a face. I was wondering where that smell was coming from. Liam mutters, chucking the apron over his shoulder and rummaging around some more. "Ah, found it," he announces, holding up a bottle of lighter fluid. He then turns to Trey, who is watching him, like Liam is a madman. "Here, ferret face, hold," Liam says, dumping his apron and taking the knife from me and his pistol from Kyson. He loads up Trey's arms, before removing his jacket. "Genuine leather. Can't ruin that," Liam says, dumping it in Trey's arms. Kyson growls as Liam skips like a kid to the back door. He gives a ninja cry, before kicking in the back door, "Honey, I'm home." Liam sings out and Kyson shakes his head. "Can't take him anywhere," Kyson curses, stalking after Liam with the jerrycan in hand. Trey nods for me to follow him back to the cars. "I think that man needs a psych evaluation," Trey mutters, nudging me with his elbow. I laugh, following Trey back out the front with the guards surrounding us. "Call the fire brigade." "I don't want it getting out of control," Trey tells one of the guards, who pulls his phone out. Leaning against the hood of the limo, I listen to Liam singing at the top of his lungs inside the house. I also hear glass shattering before he comes to the front window on the top floor. He waves and I laugh, waving back. "That man is unhinged," I tell Trey as Kyson comes out, shaking his head. He reeked of petrol fumes. Kyson stops beside me. "The fool is going to kill himself one day," Kyson says, when Liam suddenly sets the curtains of the room on fire, with the lighter he stole from Kyson. He starts catcalling out the window and dancing. "Liam, get out of there. The room is on fire, you twat." Kyson calls out, and Liam stops the weird-ass fire dance he is doing. The entire room goes up and he yanks the curtain rod of the window. "You smell smoke?" he asks, smiling and showing all his teeth. Kyson shakes his head again, as Liam climbs out the window, dancing on the roof and chanting about fire gods, or some crap. The room beside him catches on fire and Liam rubs his hands together, getting ready to jump off the small porch roof, when he suddenly vanishes. I blink before hearing a crash, as he falls through the porch roof. He groans sitting up, while Trey erupts in laughter. Liam holds his hand up. "I'm okay," he announces before rolling on his side. A tile falls off and hits his shoulder, shattering on the ground. "That hurt my fanny," he says, rubbing his butt and skipping down the steps when the entire porch collapses behind him. "Wow! Talk about in the nick of time," Liam says. "I swear, you have 9 lives," Kyson tells him with a shake of his head. We watch the place burn, the roof caving in and the air fills with black smoke. Once we hear the sirens on the way, we climb in the limo, knowing they would contain what is left of the burning rubble. But as the wind carries the smoke away, I feel myself relax, as if it is also carrying my past with it. Ivy is no more. Mrs. Daly is no more. I know my past and what we endured would always remain, but the sense of relief that comes with watching that place burn gives me hope that maybe the memories would one day fade. Maybe they won't hurt as much. Kyson reaches over and squeezes my hand, and I look at him. "Ready to go home?" he asks, and I nod. I am ready to go home, and for once the castle feels like home, as much as I am terrified of going back knowing there is someone there trying to sabotage everything, and ruin me. It still doesn't bring the fear this place did. And for once I feel free. Free of everything in this place. Free to try to move on. Because one thing I know is if I could survive 8 harrowing years here, I could survive anything. Nothing breaks a soul more than being suppressed. Nothing breaks someone more than being shackled and trapped in a repetitive loop of torture. Kyson and I have our differences, different beliefs that came with different upbringings, different views of how we should be. Kyson was raised with a silver spoon, while I was raised with whips and canes. We are complete opposites, yet the same, both having suffered at the hands of our upbringings, both having suffered losing ourselves at the hands of someone else. Both of us have our own struggles to contend with, and I know what Kyson struggles with most is insecurity. While what I struggled with most was beaten into me, ingrained, making me meek and fearful of everything, something I am trying to work on. Yet you can't beat a dog every day and expect it not to flinch when you pet it. Everything takes time, but I know Kyson will be patient. I just need to remember I have to be patient with him, too. I know little about who I am, but I trust Kyson will eventually teach me. As much as he angers me, I do trust him. And after today and him letting me have control, I trust he will also one day let me find my voice. The one that was squashed and was suppressed living here. So with those thoughts in mind, yes, I am ready to go home. Home is something I never thought I would have, but now I realize home is anywhere Kyson is. We meet up with the bus at the first service station on the way out of town, which waits parked on the side of the road for our convoy. The bus is following us back to the castle. I feel terrible for all the children being cooped up on the bus for so long. Although we do stop twice to let them burn off some energy, and at the last stop, the children become too rowdy, so Liam climbs on the bus with them. When we finally reach the castle, it's early morning. We've arrived and are pulling into the castle when Kyson shakes my arm to wake me. "We're home, love," Kyson whispers, and I yawn. It's still dark outside, but the castle is lit up like a Christmas tree. Clarice and everyone have set up the ballroom as a sleeping quarters for the children, Kyson tells me, and I'm glad he thought ahead. I was too busy sleeping and forgot they would need somewhere to sleep. Kyson, however, seems to think of everything. I climb out of the limo, and Kyson grips my arm to steady me since I'm still half asleep. The bus door opens, and Liam stumbles out, nearly getting knocked over as the kids rush out behind him. He stumbles past us. "I need a drink," he growls, looking worse for wear as he makes his way inside. Clarice comes out the front doors, and I cover my ears at all the noise, trying to wake up as kids rush around everywhere. Moments later, I hear Abby's voice reach my ears. "What the heck is going on out here?" she yells out. The kids, not hearing her, continue to rush around, and the castle staff look overwhelmed when Abby sticks her fingers in her mouth and whistles loudly. The kids freeze and glance in her direction, taking in the woman who stands before them. Their eyes light up with excitement and then they are suddenly rushing toward her. Abby smiles and is nearly knocked over when they spot her, all trying to hug and touch her. She beams, reaching for them, grabbing them, and hugging them. I stand back and watch as Tyson squeezes through the bodies, and tugs on her dress. She looks down and I watch every possible emotion cross over her features. "Tyson," she almost whimpers, her eyes glistening with tears of relief before picking up Tyson. She buries her face in his hair with tears in her eyes while I make my way over to her. "I missed you, mister," she says, and he makes his grunting noises, bouncing in her arms. Gannon comes out behind her and leans in the doorway, watching her as she says hello to all the kids. Abby, finally noticing me, pulls me into a hug with one arm. "You got them out," she whispers, wiping her tears. I nod sadly, but now we have to find homes for them all. Katrina, she asks. Now, Alpha, I tell her, and her green eyes widen. She glances at Kyson behind me. He places his hand on my hip and pecks my cheek. The heat of his body seeps into my back before he reaches over and messes with Tyson's hair. Tyson stares up at him before sucking on his thumb. I chuckle as the small boy who stares at him like he is a giant. They never have to go back? Abby asks worriedly as she glances at all the kids rushing around. Nothing to go back to, I tell her, looking at the kids. Abby looks at me, confused, and I answer her questioning look. I made them burn it to the ground. It's gone, Abby. All of it, I assure her, and she sucks in a shaky breath and nods. We are never going back, she chokes on emotion, tears slipping down her cheeks. Never, we are home now, I tell her, and she clutches me, pulling me into a hug with one arm. More than my life, she whispers. Forever more than my life. We have a home now, and we have set them free. We are free, she chokes on the word that for so long meant death to us, only now freedom holds a different meaning now. Free, I repeat, and she sniffles and lets me go. She wipes her face before clearing her throat. She glances at the children who Clarice is trying to get their attention. Abby and I both stick our fingers in our mouths simultaneously and whistle. They stop all freezing. Line up and settle down. You will wake the entire town, I yell out at them. They all immediately line up into 4 rows. Abby shakes her head and sighs, yet the kids listen, and when Clarice claps her hands loudly, they straighten up. Now we have breakfast cooked and ready for you in your new room, but everyone has to be quiet and use your inside voices, Clarice says. The kids all remain quiet before she turns on her heel. Now follow me, quietly, she calls out to the kids, and they file in after her. Abby and I follow behind them, and Gannon stops Abby as she goes to pass him with a hand on her arm. Who is this? He asks, shucking Tyson under the chin to look up at him. Tyson sniffs the air, and he must be able to smell Abby's scent on Gannon because he then waves and grins at him. This is Tyson, and Tyson, this is Gannon, Abby says, smiling fondly down at Tyson. Tyson makes one of his noises, and Gannon smirks. Hello, Tyson, Gannon tells him softly, placing his hand on Abby's lower back. Abby starts to follow after Clarice when she looks at Gannon before looking ahead. A strange look crosses her features, one I recognize to be fear. However, instead of heading toward the ballroom, I stop at the stairs because I am heading toward our quarters when Abby stops also, and I know immediately why she hesitates. She doesn't want Tyson going into a new home, and I know she won't lose him again. She looks at me. She doesn't finish, but I know what she wants and I nod once, letting her know it's okay, he is hers, before turning to wait for Kyson to catch up, but he is talking to a guard. Abby? Gannon asks as she climbs the stairs. She doesn't answer. She just keeps climbing the stairs, and I follow up behind her. At first I think Abby is coming to my room, knowing she'll need to be assigned elsewhere if Gannon doesn't allow her to keep Tyson, when I remember she can't follow me, so I wait, allowing her a chance to navigate the command over her when she stops looking back at Gannon before rushing off toward the guard quarters. Where is she going? Gannon states, stomping up the steps. Yet if he thinks he can take Kyson from her, he has another thing coming. That is not an argument Ganon will win with her. She would choose Kyson, that I have no doubt about. I wait, but she turns down the opposite corridor toward hers and Ganon's rooms. Ganon races up the steps behind her and passes me. He stops, staring after her before calling out to her. "Abby, where are you going?" he calls out. "Kyson is mine. I want him," is all she says, not bothering to turn around or ask permission from him. Ganon scoffs and looks at me. "Is she being serious?" he whispers. "Now she got him back, she won't let him go, and if you make her choose, you won't win," I tell him, and his lips part. Ganon glances down the corridor where she disappeared. "What do you mean now she has him back?" "Abby was his primary carer. She raised him since he was newborn," I tell Ganon. "Don't make her choose," I warn him. Ganon sighs, and Kyson comes up the steps while I worry Kyson would be a deal breaker for Ganon. "What's wrong?" Kyson asks him, and Ganon looks at him. "Looks like I have a son," Ganon says, turning on his heel and jogging after her. "Abby is pregnant?" Kyson asks, and I roll my eyes and click my tongue at his silliness. "No, Kyson," I tell him. "Ah. Wait. You both know we can't keep them all, right? Clarice has the 2 boys already, and now Abby has Kyson. You're pregnant." "I am not running boarding school here," Kyson tells me. "I know that, but they stay until they all have homes, but you won't take Kyson from Abby," I tell him, grabbing his hand and tugging him back to our room. "I need a bath," I groan, and Kyson growls. "Am I invited to this bath?" he asks. "Only if you wash my back," I laugh, and he growls. "I'll wash more than your back," he says, tugging me closer and purring. Ganon I rush to my room and open the door, but she isn't there. My brows furrow as I check the bathroom, wondering where she went when I hear a babbling noise from out in the hallway. Turning around, I follow the noise to her old room. Knocking on the door, the room falls quiet, and I grip the handle pushing the door open to find her sitting on the bed. Kyson is still attached to her hip and eating a candy cloud she has pinched between her fingers, his little lips sucking the sugar off while she holds it, watching him. "I am keeping him. And I understand if you don't want kids. And I know he is a special needs child, so if you aren't comfortable with it, I understand. I will ask Azalea to move me elsewhere if it bothers you," she says dismissively as if she thinks I will toss her away over him. "It would have been nice to be asked," I tell her. "I'm done asking. I'm done begging. It gets me nothing, Ganon. I won't lose him, and I won't give him up," she tells me, hugging him tighter. She sniffs his hair and kisses his cheek. "What do you mean? I've never denied you anything, Abby, nor would I tell her, and she looks up at me before looking down at him. "Cade promised. He promised, so I stayed. I stayed quiet. I stayed on the promise I would get Kyson back. Everything was going to be okay when I got him back," Abby says before whispering, "only he never kept that promise." Tears slip down her face and her lips quiver, making me realize then a lot of what she was willing to endure was based on the promise of having this boy returned to her. She held out hope the mate bond would not only make Cade love her but also return her to the boy she raised. Kyson is why she never said anything, why she remained. It wasn't just the bond, she wanted Kyson, and Cade dangled him on a string in front of her. Kyson, you get no say over, just like Azzy, Ganon, I would die for both. Don't make me choose. You won't like the answer, she whispers. Like Azzy? I ask her, and she nods, her eyes softening as she stares at him through her tears. More than my life, she whispers. Kyson babbles, leaning down to gnaw at the candy cloud between her fingers as I step into the room. I lean down, brushing his hair with my fingers. And you're more than mine, I whisper, and she lifts her head. More than my life, and if he is part of yours, then he is now mine also, I tell her, and she blinks at me before swallowing. Her lips part, and she stares at me as if wondering if she heard me right. Come on, he needs a bath and he is clearly hungry, I tell her, holding my hands out for him. She looks at my hands like she is wondering if it is some trick. I can see her hesitation written on her face. No one will ever take him from you, and I will kill anyone who dares try to take our son, I tell her. She blinks back tears. You're not leaving me, she breathes out. Never. I tell her, taking Kyson from her. I set him on my hip, offering my other hand to her. She slips hers in mine, and I pull her to her feet. Tugging her closer, I press my lips to her temple before walking out of the room with her and Kyson when I spot Liam smirking as he stands near the door of his room as we pass. I hear I am an uncle brother, he says, and I smile down at Kyson. That would be correct. I will go make him some food while you get him settled then, Liam says, and I nod, watching as Abby pushes our door open and walks to the bathroom to run him a bath. Kyson, as we step into the room, Azalea growls as the fresh linen scent overwhelms her. Trey rushes into the room behind me, looking alert despite having not slept in 2 days. What is it? Trey says behind me. I watch as Azalea moves toward the bed, sniffing the air. Nothing. Liam had Clarice clean everything in here. It smells wrong to her, I tell him. Trey sighs. The only lingering scents are Ganon, Dustin's, and Peter's, who must have helped oversee everything because I forgot Ganon couldn't come with us because of her command over him. Okay, as long as everything is all right. Go to bed, Trey. Try to sleep before the sun comes up. She is safe with me, I tell him. He nods and reluctantly leaves. I find his bond to her odd, but now trust him because I am seeing what an advantage we have with him being able to sense her so clearly. Azalea growls, fixing her den as she destroys the sheets. She raids the closet, trying to find clothes with my scent, and I step inside behind her as she snatches stuff off the hangers. Tears trek down her face as she sniffs each piece. They aren't supposed to touch my stuff. I hoped they would have left a few pieces, knowing how savage she may become once her den was ruined. She tosses them down in frustration and rips more off the hanger, sniffing each one when I grab her arms. Hush, you don't need my scent when you have me. We can fix it, I tell her when she spins around, her eyes glowing, and she looks crazed. Her eyes run over me as she sniffs me and licks her lips. I groan in frustration. I like this suit too. When she looks me over from head to toe, I back away from her. Wait, Azzy. I will take them off, and I will climb in your den with you. Please don't. She pounces on me, cutting my words off as her claws slip out. I catch her, my arms slipping around her waist as her legs lock around my hips. I sigh. Her claws rip at my clothes, and I purr, trying to calm her frantic instincts as I turn around and move toward the bed. My suit jacket she has claimed and my shirt as buttons go flying as she tears it to shreds. I love and hate seeing her like this. Hate how vulnerable she becomes in this state, all instinct, yet love seeing her go crazy over my scent, knowing that is what she seeks. I really liked that suit, I mutter, placing her on the bed as her teeth sink into my chest. She licks me, and sparks explode across my skin. I press her into the clean linens, earning a snarl as she lets me go and rolls, taking my clothes with her. She rearranges them in her den, duck feathers going everywhere as she rips a pillow apart. No, you have my shirt and jacket, I tell her, or what is left of them. She whimpers, the sound crushing as she stares at my pants. I will lie in your den until you're satisfied, but the pants I am keeping, I tell her, determined to keep them. She just shredded a suit that cost me a fortune. Her bottom lip quivers. Pregnancy hormones are making her wild. I pull my belt out of the loops while cursing, slipping them down my legs and stepping out of them. I grab and hold them out to her, and she snatches them, rolling them into her den. She won't be satisfied. I know that. My scent is still faint in the sheets. Why is my scent so faint still? I hate seeing her so distraught with instincts she barely understands. She growls at me when I press my hands onto the bed. Where do you want me, then? I ask, not wanting to ruin her den until she has it the way she prefers. Her breathing becomes harsher. It is dangerous to go into a lichen den or near a frantic pregnant lichen's den. You don't touch or change it, especially since not belonging to the mate. It's their cocoon of safety, and other scents are intruders. Azalea grips her hair in frustration. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.